ladies and creatures. That's going to be my new thing. I'm going to start saying instead of ladies and gentlemen, which I feel like is just so draw and contrived, you know? It's funnier this way. Ladies and creatures. Or I could say creatures and gentlemen. Oh, I actually like that better. Creatures and gentlemen. There's a bunch of ladies throwing their heels at the TV right now. Or at their phones. They're not listening. It's fine. This is Mitchell Roulette, and this is another episode of the Wrestling Diaries presents the Spoken Word Sessions, where I tell some stories about life, or I read off people's poetry, or their literature that they send in, or I read off my own. Hopefully you tuned in last week. Matt spouted off some really awesome grunge poetry from the heart of Seattle by one of his favorite artists. It was real good. If you haven't seen it or listened to it, go check it out. Spoken Word Sessions number 5 with Matt. Today, I am going to tell some childhood stories about this gentleman is one I've known the longest. And so we've had a very colorful history. And his name's Thomas. Thomas, if you're listening or watching, or anybody else listening or watching this knows who Mr. Thomas Lee is, you're in for a nice treat. There's no particular story. This kind of like is just in a timeline of when we were younger into like pre-teen to teenage years. But I always used to troll Thomas a lot, and with just different things, but with food particularly. And luckily, he was one of those friends. He's very cool and easygoing and even passive. So he didn't want to punch me in the face like some other people probably would. But I used to have this thing to where if he had like a sandwich or a hamburger, I would take my little finger here and just go, poke a nice small donut hole right into his sandwich. So then he'd come back from the pisser or something, and there's just a hole in his sandwich. And then he'd be like, what? The first time he did it, he was like, dude, did you do this? And I was like, no, of course not. There's nobody else there. There's nobody else there. And he was like, oh, so so you're saying it was like my mom? I was like, dude, I don't know. It was like that when I got here. And then finally he realized I was just trolling him. And then he just, he would come in, and if his hamburgers had a finger hole in it, he'd be like, oh, look at that. And I was like, what's that? He's like, it's just, my sandwich is sitting here, and it's just, it's crazy. I guess I didn't notice the hole when I was making this cheeseburger earlier. And I was like, yeah, dude, I guess you didn't. It's, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I guess are they doing that now? Is that a new packaging thing where they have the hole because it gives it better airflow when you're picking it up to eat it? And we just had this like sarcastic banter back and forth about me poking a damn hole into his food. And so, there's a bunch of different things like that. I remember one time we were making, I don't know, ham and cheese or turkey and cheese sandwiches or something. And then he was going to the restroom. And he was like, oh, can you watch my sandwich? Because he had this cat named Samson, beautiful, like Himalayan cat, really big hair, just gorgeous cat. And he was very mischievous. He liked to hop on the table and steal people's food. And Thomas was like, hey, can you watch him? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I saw Samson he's like putting his feet up on there because he was smelling the sandwiches because the meat was up there on the table. And Thomas hadn't finished his sandwich. Like he had the cheese, the meat, and he just had the mayonnaise or mustard or whatever out, and he hadn't put it on there and put it together yet because he had to go to the bathroom. And so Samson, this cat, is like perched up on the thing, and he's like sniffing. So I walk over there, and like he was a kid, I grabbed him and picked him up and put him on the table, where he proceeded to grab the piece of ham off of Thomas's sandwich, and he just took off with it. Then I was like, okay, Thomas asked me to watch the sandwich, so if he comes back and his meat's missing, he's going to think I had something to do with it. So I'll just make sure not to be in the kitchen when Thomas gets out of the bathroom. And so I went into the bedroom and just pretended to do something. I don't know what it was. I was just pretending to do something. And he comes out, and I hear him. He goes, dang it, where's my freaking... Mitchell, did you take my... And I come into the kitchen. I rush in there. I'm like, what's wrong, man? What's going on? He's like, dude, did you eat my ham? And I was like, no. I was like, you told me to watch the sandwich. I had to run in here for a second because My phone was ringing. I don't know what excuse I used. He was like, oh, he's like, well, the ham's gone. He's like, oh, where's Samson at? And then we look out the kitchen window and Samson's like in the yard and he's eating something. And it was that ham. And I was like, oh man, he must have jumped up there and got your lunch meat off the sandwich, bro. And he's like, dang it. Oh, and I was like, sorry, man, I was trying to watch it, but I had to go in the room for a minute. He's like, oh, whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know if, you know, or maybe he did know this story because I've told it. Maybe he does know. If he doesn't, surprise, happy birthday, Thomas. I made the cat take your lunch meat. It was pretty funny. Another thing that was super funny, we were making cheeseburgers. Obviously, cheeseburgers is like a big staple in any American diet, right? And so, anyways, the story goes about a cheeseburger, right? So we're making these cheeseburgers, and like they had grilled meat the day before or something. So me and my friend Thomas are in the kitchen. We're getting ready to whip up these delicious, just behemoths of meat and cheese and bread and sugar and just terribleness. And so we go balls to the walls, right? Like everything on our burgers, like lettuce, tomato, onions, pickles, peppers, if you got them, ketchup, mustard, you know, the whole nine. And so Thomas has to take a crap and he goes, hey man, would you mind finishing my hamburger for me? I was like, yeah, bro, no problem. And I was like, oh, do you want everything on it? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, do you want onions on there? And he's like, yeah, put some onions on there. And I was like, okay, I'll put some onions on there. I was like, do you want a little bit or a lot? He said, yeah. He's like, you can put a decent amount on there, you know, for flavor. And I was like, okay, cool. So he goes in there to take a dump. And while he's in there, I'm putting his sandwich together. And when it gets to the onion cutting part, I literally cut half of a whole onion, cut it, and put it on a sandwich. And then I was thinking, you know, this might be a little overwhelming. How can I get away with this without it being too overwhelming? So I made sure to put the onion right on the meat, and then I put the cheese on top of that, and then everything else on top of that. Then I put the ketchup, the mustard on there, bam, smashed the sandwich together. They were perfectly hidden with all the other additives. He comes in. I'm already eating my burger I made for myself. I'm eating it. It's good. Having a good time. Thomas comes in, takes his first bite. You would think there was potato chips on there with the crunch that happened afterwards. It goes, and he goes, like before he realized what happened, he was like, oh, thanks for finishing the burger for me, man. I really appreciate that. I was like, yeah, bro, of course. Anything for you, man. Anything for you, big dog. And oh man, I'm crying right now. I'm crying like he was because of these onions. But it's from, you know, being funny. So he takes a bite. And it's just crunch. And he's like, and he just lets out this, you would have thought like I punched him in the balls. Like this noise he made, he was just like, it's just like he starts gagging. And his eyes are watering, his nose is running, and he's like, dude, what did you do? He can't see, he's holding the sandwich, he's trying to rub his eyes, he's getting onion juice in his eyes as he's rubbing his eyes, he's crying, he's like almost like having breathing problems. He's like, man, how many onions did you put on us, man? And I was like, what's the problem, Thomas? What's the deal? He's like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you, man? I was like, you said you wanted a lot of onions. He's like, what? Where's the onion at? And I wrapped it up and put it in the refrigerator. He pulls it out. He's like, what? Dude, you cut like over half the onion. I was like, well, I put some on my burger too. He's like, did you put half the onion on your burger? It was great. He's crying. He can't breathe. He can't see. His face is turning red because he's just overwhelmed with onion power. And so I'm sitting there still keeping a straight face. And I was like, dude, I don't understand why you're so mad at me. You asked me to put onions on the burger and I put them on there for you. And what's great about Thomas is like, he didn't at this time really realize that I am a master troller. And I'm just saying all this stuff because I'm just trolling the out of this guy. And I was just like, I knew that I put too many onions on it, but I was still being like, dude, you told me to put the onions on there, so I put it on there. I was like, and then I go, you know what? Fine, Thomas. And then maybe next time I just won't make a sandwich. Like I won't make you stuff, because apparently when I try to make you a hamburger, you're using the bathroom. I'm trying to finish your sandwich for you. You come out and you get mad at me and start going off on me. And he's like, dude, I appreciate you making the hamburger, but I can't see. I can't breathe. All I taste is onions. I don't even taste meat or bread or anything. I just taste onion. I might as well just taken a bite out of the onion and not even had the hamburger. And I was like, all right, man, whatever, dude. You hurt my feelings. Oh, okay. Let me take it down a minute. So there was that, you know, he's crying more than I am now. And then finally, he after he kind of calms down from the overload of onion, he takes the sandwich apart and he goes, and because before that I was like, I don't think I put that many on there. He's literally pulling off piles of onions, and then I'm critiquing him like him his like nagging wife. I go, oh, are you just going to remove all of them? I thought you liked onions. He's like, I don't know if I'll ever like onions again. So he's taking them off, and literally after he's finished, He's making a case to me. He's like, see, Mitchell, look at this. That is a fistful of onions, and there's still onions on there. I haven't even taken all of them off. There's a fistful. He's like, dude, you put way too many on there. And I was like, okay, fine. I made a mistake. I'm still playing this game like I don't know what's going on. And I was just major league trolling. He took off the majority of the onions, and he ate his sandwich. But for the rest of the day, like we would just be doing something, hanging out, he would do this. He'd go, and I was like, what's wrong, man? He goes, oh, nothing. Just my mouth tastes like onions now. My mouth just tastes like onions. Right. I'll tell one more story before I wrap this bad boy up. We used to go to Taco Bell a lot. TXB crew. Taco Bell represent. But also, the hell with you, Taco Bell. You're trying to get rid of the Mexican pizza? I got nothing for you, man. I got nothing for you now. You assholes. How could you? Anyway, we used to get these cheesy bean and rice burritos. They still have them now, but they're different. They're not as big, and they make them kind of crappier. Shout out Taco Bell. Sponsor me. So they had this sauce in there. It was really delicious. It's like this like cream spice sauce. And I never knew what it was. And I asked somebody one day, they're like, oh, it's like jalapeno, like fiesta jalapeno sauce. And that's what was on the burrito. It was delicious. It was a really good sauce. So one day we went to Taco Bell, and I asked Thomas he was doing the order, and I asked him to ask for them to get more jalapeno sauce on our burritos. And then he did the same for his as well. So we take the food back. We're in his bedroom. We're watching a movie, or watching skate videos or music video or something. And we're about to eat. Thomas has to go to the restroom again. I feel like this is all the classic trolling stories of his food and me. It starts with him having to go to the bathroom. I feel like almost, and Matt, him taking his food to the bathroom might have been part of the reason, because of me trolling him. Every time he left to go take a crap or pee, something would be sabotaged about his food. And so I guess that's why he started taking his spaghetti in there while he's taking a dump. And then his sister Tanya was like, ew, Mom, Thomas is taking his spaghetti to the bathroom while he's pooping. That's so disgusting. And then his mom would be like, Thomas, are you eating your food? He's like, well, yeah, like it saves time, Mom. Anyways, Thomas goes to the restroom. We have our cheesy bean and rice burritos with allegedly extra jalapeno sauce. So I decide to go into his refrigerator, and I found some fresh jalapenos. And so I opened his burrito very perfectly, and I put one in there and two, and then I perfectly wrapped it back up in the seal, and then I did the other one like that, perfectly back in the seal, back in there, and then I sat back, was watching TV, eating my burritos, drinking my drink, acting like nothing happened. He comes back, and he's like, oh, dude, I'm so ready for this, I'm so starving. He's like, I love these burritos. I was like, heck yeah, man, I was like, sorry, I couldn't wait for you, I'm starving. He's like, no, you're good, man. He goes in for that bite, and almost just like, this is deja vu almost all over again with the onion burger. He bites into it, and you hear a crunch. And you should never hear a crunch for a cheesy bean and rice burrito, but it's, and he goes, God, what is that? holy crap. Is that it's so spicy. And he goes, and then he goes, ha 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 ha, Mitchell, look. And I was like, and I'm just watching TV and I would go, what? So he goes, he's amazed on his face. He's like, dude, ha ha ha, they actually put real jalapenos on this. Like, my mouth is on fire. I can't believe this crap. I asked for the sauce, but they put real jalapenos on there. I go, that's weird, man. He's like, is it like that on your burrito? I was like, no, I haven't found one in mine yet. Here's what's funny about this one. He, up to this day, he knows the truth now. But at that point, and for many years after that, he never knew that I secretly put jalapenos from his own refrigerator onto his burrito. And so, or maybe he doesn't know. If this is another thing, if he doesn't know, hey, surprise. So yeah, I did that, and I'm proud of it. Proud of it, and I'll do it again. I will do it again. Do not leave your food unattended around this psychopath. That's the stories of me trolling one of my best friends when we were younger. Yeah, super funny. And at the time, he was a little naive to exactly what I'm doing. And all these years later, he realizes just how big of a butthole I really am. And, Thomas, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So I got to give an inspirational message, right? Because this is what the Wrestling Diaries is all about, This is, have fun with your friends so you have really funny stories to tell at their expense later on in life, because it'll make you feel better about yourself. I think it's important that you have a good connection with friends to where you can prank them and troll them and everything's cool and great, because at the end of the day, having something funny and good to look back on and laugh on is good. It's therapeutic. It's a fun ride, I am very blessed to have had that relationship with my friends to do these kind of trolls and troll Thomas and him not like beat the living crap out of me, which he probably should have. And so, I feel very grateful. And if he wasn't such a good sport and such a great guy, then I wouldn't have as funny of a story to tell, right? Because I would have done that and he would have give me a black eye, then I never would have told the story probably. I probably still would have. But so I think it's really fun to just kind of let your hair down and be, there's something really healing in being silly and trolling and laughing. And, there's a healing magic to humor. There really is. I think that's what this show is about. Yeah. The healing power of humor. And this is just in the form of telling pranking stories, right? But humor is a really big thing. Comedy, being silly, making jokes, not taking things too seriously. It's really important. It's real medicine. It really is. It's real medicine for people. It's therapeutic. It's good. It also helps to put a filter on your brain. It filters through all the terrible dross of just heartaches and resistance from life and work and your boss and the things that you dread. And I feel like people should practice it. Have a good time. Don't try to prank anybody that is not going to be receptive to it, okay? I don't want kids to listen to this and go out and prank people that are going to stab them with a knife. And that's all I really have to tell you. This spoken word session has been a little bit more lighthearted and less serious, maybe less poetic. But hopefully people enjoyed that and they listening to my childhood silly craziness and they get something out of it. As always, please follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast, Overcast, Radio Public, Google Podcast, and all the other ones. And come to our YouTube, subscribe to our channel, like it, share it, comment. Be our friend. We want to be your friend. What do you wrestle with? And how can you beat it? One love.